Back in the day when the radio played, the CDs spun our nights away. From grunge to grooves and R&B, 95 was the place to be. We're digging deep, 1 week at a time. Every album, every rhyme. It's more than music, it's a vibe. Come with us, let's take that ride. 52/1995. We're bringing that year back alive. From basement tapes to billboard highs, rewind the sound, relive the drive. Oh, 52/1995. Drop the needle, feel that jive. 1 year, 1 track at a time. Dive, yeah, let's dive. Spinning loud, feel the flash. Britpop dreams and alt rock crash. Hip hop truth, electronic night. Every beat still burns so bright. 52/1995. It's not just songs, it's a time capsule dive. Talking tunes that shaped our lives. Tune and turn up and ride that high, yeah. 52/1995. Weekly drops, we keep it live. Let's rewind the vibe. One album, every time.
Hey, everyone. Welcome into 52/1995, your live music conversation podcast for diving deep into the music of 1995. I am your host, Alyssa. I am joined here, as always, by my co host, Cody. Cody, say hello to the beautiful people.
Hello, beautiful people.
This is our first expansion into the 52 universe from our sister podcast, 52/1995 movies. If you didn't know, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. We're happy to have you, excited to have you here. Just a little rundown of what we do each week in the year. There's 52 weeks in the year, right? We are going to explore a different album from the year 1995, diving deep into the important releases of the year. We'll talk about them in detail, and I'm going to ask my guest, about their thoughts, their experiences with the music. And each month we explore a new theme or genre. So it is a new month. Today is July 1st. So that means we get a new genre. And this month's genre is hip hop. And I am so excited today because today we are talking about Tupac's Me Against the World from 1995. So I cannot wait to dive into this. But so before we do, Cody, I want to ask you, what's your impressions with the album? What are your first impressions? Have you listened to this before? What's your relationship with Tupac? Where were you the night he was murdered? No, I'm kidding. Spoiler alert. No. But I want to know from you. How do we feel about this?
Well, I was never much like outside of a few Tupac
Mm-hmm.
songs, which are like California Love, All Eyes on Me, Picture Me Rolling, those kind of songs. Uh, Honestly, that's really like the extent of where I go with Tupac. If I was choosing, I was always kind of uh, a a Notorious B.I.G. kind of guy. I always kind of stood there. I never really clicked with Tupac or really gave him a chance, I should
Mm-hmm.
say. Um, I thought Biggie had catchier
Mm-hmm.
songs, and I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards Biggie instead of kind of going out of my way to listen to Tupac. So I was really excited to dive in and actually do an actual deep dive into one of Tupac's albums and do what I guess is supposed to be like his most critically acclaimed
Yeah.
album of the ones that he did put out while he was alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we hit on a good one here. So really no experience other than that. California Love's a banger though.
I have actually never listened to Tupac. I don't. If you asked before this week, if you had asked me, name one Tupac song, I couldn't do it. Um, my rap,
Even
even my,
even
I'm
California
sure
Love.
if I heard it, I'd go, oh, I know that song, but I didn't know it was a Tupac song. Like I
Mm.
just, I haven't listened to a lot of, I will say a lot of hip hop, a lot of like, I'm not really into the rap game. I like the rap that I hear on radio. Like, any like popular rap song that's been in the top 40, that's, going all the way back, we talk about Bust a Move, being is one of my favorite songs, was, early rap. And then like today we've got like Kendrick, and I had a Drake stint for a while in college, didn't we all? But I only really know popular hip hop or popular rap music that can almost not transcend into pop music, like a Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is probably the deepest dive, or Megan Thee Stallion. Really, I love me some Megan Thee Stallion. That's getting into more rap than hip hop. But that is my like what I know. I don't know a lot of old school, like, what came out 30 years ago in 1995, what was going on in the rap game then couldn't tell you. So this is not just my first full Tupac album, or this is my first full dip into the pool that is 90s East Coast versus West Coast rap hip hop scene. And yeah.
Yeah, it's just like kind of like we went into
Hmm.
Britpop, and how Britpop had its like thing in the 90s. I feel like this style of rap and this like the genre of hip hop went through a very similar thing in the 90s. And you can kind of say that about rap in all periods, whether it's like late 90s, early 2000s style of rap, and then going into like the 2010s and what style of rap there is there. Also regionally with the different types of rap that we get. It's very interesting, fascinating stuff. But yeah, like the East Coast, West Coast thing, really, you're a person that likes lore and
Yeah.
everything. Like there's a lot of
So
lore
much
here.
lore.
There's a lot.
I am in. You know how we like, when we talked about Britpop, we were saying we need a documentary. We actually found one that was specific to, to like the years 93 to 95, 96, I think. But it was like a 4-part documentary, and we found it. We watched a little bit of it. I want this. I'm sure it's out there, but this is the next documentary that I'm interested in. Is what is this East Coast, West Coast hip hop scene? So for those who are listening in now, again, full brand new listener singer, I don't know shit. I don't know anything. All I know is the little bit of research and the little dip of the toe into the pool I've done with this Tupac album. So just want to declare that up front. We are all learning here. This is a learning podcast at the end of the day. We're learning. This is basically NPR.
Yes, that is basically what we're doing here. Is just learning about the music of the time. And I love it when you have no reference, like have no frame of reference to something like this. And honestly, when you texted me earlier, yesterday or today or this morning, and you were like, you were like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So apparently, I'm a huge fan. I had no idea.
Yeah. Not to spoil anything, but she was like, I think I'm a huge fan of Tupac. And I was like, oh, okay, really?
Yeah, and it's
that was not the direction I thought this was going to go.
And it's so interesting to me that, again, in the very little research that I've done, this is considered one of, up till this point in his life, right, and when he had released up till this point, his most critically acclaimed album. There's been a lot that has been put out since that has like post-death, a lot that's been put out post-death that has gotten more like fame, I will say, more, but this is like a very critically acclaimed album. And as I'm going through Spotify, I think maybe one song is in the top 10. Like the fact that this is so highly acclaimed and it's so good, and I think Dear Mama is the only one that's maybe in the top in Spotify. Everything else is not from this album.
Which is crazy. Like that Dear Mama is the one that is listed.
Well, yeah, and that one was it was the first single. It was also nominated for a Grammy. We'll get into that. But yeah, I'm like, this, he's great. He must be great, because I loved this album. Yeah. And for these to not be the top songs, that means there's better out there, more popular out there, potentially. I don't know, but better, your definition of better is. But I'm excited.
That was my one thing whenever I was, writing my notes on this album, was there's not a pop song, like, not traditionally like a pop song. What I mean is there's not a radio song.
No, there's not.
Album. There is not one that has a catchy hook. There's not one that has a great, like a beat behind it that I'm like, yeah, like that's it. That is not this album.
100%. And I'm okay with it. Usually I'm like, I feel bored, or I'm like, give me something to hook on to. Give me something fun. Because I'm a pop girly. At the end of the day, I love pop music. And I didn't need it with this album. It was able to like tell its own story, and you don't necessarily need a catchy hook if you're this good at what you do, Mm-hmm. And I'm very excited about this.
Well, so when I first listened, I was not as excited as you are. When I was listening in my car for a lot of it, whenever I first put on the album, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say about this album. I did, listen to it a couple more times in passing, listen to some songs over and over again in passing. And I definitely have different feelings about it, but I am curious to, kind of riff off and see what conclusion we come to.
And I will say that I was struggling to, I have so much notes, so many research notes, because again, brand new to the Tupac man, the man that is Tupac. So I know that he was murdered. I know that we have some theories as to who did it. It could have been Diddy allegedly. Allegedly, that's my guess, based on the little Wikipedia reading that I've done. And but I knew he died. I knew he's been murdered. I knew people really liked him. That's all I knew. That he was very
Mhm.
acclaimed. He's an acclaimed rapper. Everybody knows him. Everybody talks about him. He's the guy, and that he's good, and that he died. That's all I knew. So all of the background that I just got is brand new to me. News to me. 30-year spoiler. So again, I know nothing. I am the first to admit I know zero things. So, sorry, I went off on a rant. I have a lot of background notes. I don't have a lot of like notes on these songs. Like when we do the
Okay.
song breakdown, I had a hard time like I can speak to why I like some of them. I will say a lot of them sound similar in a way. Again, that California style of rap that with the the high whistle, like the like that you see in a lot of Snoop and a lot of other guys.
A lot of R&B too.
Yeah.
Like this is the same kind of like R&B stuff that you would have if you were listening to like I mean Mariah Carey or not Mariah Carey. Sorry, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Tony Braxton. It's that same like what you're talking about behind it. That you hear on a lot of these. So.
Yeah, and chat, Tupac was an actor too. Like that's a whole other layer to like who he is as a person that adds to, the artistry and like, the talent that he has. Wasn't he also a dancer, like a ballerina?
He did ballet. He went to a performing arts school in high school. That's where he met Jada Pinkett, and they formed a relationship from there. And so that's an interesting thing in there. But yeah, he did ballet. He did Shakespeare. He did some other things like that. He just went to a school for the arts. So he was actually the Rat King in the Nutcracker.
That's very impressive. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So some throw that on.
I love
there.
it so much. This is incredible. Are you ready? So do you want me to just get into the nonsense, like everything that I have here?
Yes.
Okay, I've got a lot. So if I'm lecturing, please stop me. But this week we are talking about "Me Against the World" by Tupac. It is a 15-song long album, an hour and 15 minutes. So a little on the longer side for us in terms of like album length. A little bit about the artist Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur, also known by his stage names as Tupac and Machiavelli, which I didn't know about the Machiavelli thing. That's news to me. Was an American rapper and actor regarded as one of the greatest and most influential rappers of all time. Academics regard him as one of the most influential music artists of the 20th century and a prominent political activist for Black America. He is among the best-selling music artists, having sold more than 75 million records worldwide. He was born in New York City, which I think is an interesting kind of lean into, again, he's considered a West Coast rapper. He started his music career in California, West Coast, but raps a lot about growing up in New York City. So there's kind of has the duality there. But born in New York City, moved to Baltimore, ended up in the San Francisco Bay Area. With the release of his debut album, Tupacalypse Now, in 1991, he became a central figure in, again, the West Coast hip hop for his conscious rap and political rap lyrics. His lyrical content has been noted for addressing social injustice, political issues, and the marginalization of other African Americans. But he is also synonymous with gangster rap and violent lyrics. So, a man of many talents. During the later part of his career, and this kind of gives us a little bit of color and insight as to what's going on at this man's time. During the later part of his career, Tupac was shot 5 times in the lobby of a New York recording studio, and was also experiencing legal troubles that included incarceration. So, when we see in this album, the intro is a very short intro, not really a song, but there's music overplaying news headlines. People who were saying, say, oh, Tupac was shot and he checked himself out of the hospital a couple days early, and we know that he was released from prison, and actually during 1995 he was in prison again when this album was released. But there's a lot going on there. And then following his release, signed with the label Death Row Records, became heavily involved with that growing, again, East Coast, West Coast rivalry. And as we know, on September 7th, 1996, he was shot 4 times by an unidentified assailant in a drive-by shooting in Paradise, Nevada, and he died 6 days later. So only a year-ish, really, just like a year after, again, being released from prison and this album coming out. He also releases another album in 96. So he has at least 2 prior to this one. Like, he is just rolling out these albums so fast, and such a untimely death that he, based on this album, kind of predicted.
Yeah. That's the craziest thing when listening to this album, is how prophetic it is. And like, he knew. And if he knew that he was going to die, and he knew that he was going to get murdered. He didn't, like, even though there are a couple times he references taking his own life on this, because of the pressure, and also because of, like, not just the pressure of success and fame and everything, but this, seeing everybody die around him, and his friends die around him, colleagues, peers, everybody dying around him. And that's just a lot of weight to carry on your mental health.
This man is depressed.
It's crazy. So yes, this man is very depressed.
That's not prison. Therapy. I'm looking at my notes. Therapy does everybody wonders. If you're ever like, oh, I don't know if I should go to therapy, go to therapy. It's awesome.
Yeah, do go to therapy. I don't know if therapy would have done anything for Tupac. Maybe it would have been nice for Tupac. I still feel like the same result would have happened, just with the life he was living. And
which that's what all of these songs are about, is, the life that he's living, having feelings about the life he's living, like conflicting feelings, and just praying that God will accept him into heaven when he dies, and kind of ignore the life that he's lived on earth. There's a lot of that theme in here as well. And speaking of the album, so again, the album is kind of about his impending prison sentence, troubles with the police, poverty, growing up poor. According to Tupac, this album in particular, Me Against the World, was made to show the hip hop audience his respect for the art form. So lyrically, he intentionally tried to make the album more personal and reflective than his previous efforts. Again, this is considered to be one by several music critics to be the best of any of his albums up to this point in his career. So I love that. I love when, that's why, like, I again read that after I listened to the album. I'm like, that makes so much sense, because this is a very well produced album. That this sounds like this is done by a professional, which of course he's a professional rapper, but like lyrically and sonically, instrumentally, how it flows, like this is an ode to rap music, to gangster rap music. And that clearly comes through, at least upon my listen.
Yeah, and I think not just the genre of hip hop that he himself is in, but also pays respects to all the people that came before him, in the 80s, and even some of the people that are doing it currently, some of the people are still rapping to this day that he names in his songs, or that he named in one song in particular in Old School. So yeah, you can see that he did take this one a little bit more personally, and definitely wanted to show off, like, hey, this is why I got into this, and this is what I feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is one of those rare, like, albums that I don't know, maybe a lot of hip hop albums do this. I think about like Eminem, and I think of Jay-Z, and I think of some of those albums where they have like skits and things on there that kind of stitch the whole album together. And at times this just felt like very not stitched together, but
Hmm.
cohesive in a way. Like each song kind of builds on the other songs on the album. It references other titles on the
Yeah.
album at times, several times. So you'd be in one song and it would say something about Me Against the World,
Hmm.
or If I Die Tonight, or It Ain't Easy. All these things, like they keep referencing each other within this.
Yeah.
I do wish there were a couple that kind of took away from
Hmm.
that cohesion a little bit, but for the most part, I felt like it was um like you could almost listen to it start to
Yes,
finish.
I agree. And I think it's kind of unique in the sense that, I find the order in which songs are splayed out in an album important. I think there's a lot of intention, like typically, or at least I think so, a lot of intentionality that goes into that. And what's going to be the opener on the album? What's the closer? Am I putting my worst songs on the back half, the more fun ones on the front half? This is an album that I could listen to on shuffle and be fine with it. If I was listening the whole way through, I could put it on shuffle and you can jump to any song and it would still feel cohesive. I don't have to listen to it in
Hmm.
order, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that.
Couple more stats, facts for you. So again, I mentioned earlier this was released while Tupac was in prison, but while that happened, Me Against the World made an immediate impact on the charts. Debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, holding the top spot for 4 consecutive weeks, also topping the top R&B/hip hop albums chart. While he was in prison, the album overtook Bruce Springsteen's Greatest Hits as the best-selling album of the year in the United States at the time. So
Wow.
beat out Bruce Springsteen's Greatest Hits album. That's crazy. And Me Against the World was eventually double certified platinum by the RIAA and was nominated for 2 Grammys. So at the 38th Grammy Awards, the album was nominated for Best Rap Album, and Dear Mama was nominated for Best Rap Solo Performance. Again, that was like the first, there was a couple singles off this album. None of them really, like, again, got huge radio play or, in terms of like pop music, right? Top 40 Billboard. But Dear Mama was like that first single that a lot of people know and recognize. Again, the album had acclaimed reviews by critics, being ranked among the best albums of the 1990s, ranked as one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time, as well as greatest album of all time. In like the top, I think it was, I can't remember which one I read that was like, I think it was like the number two in a not an official ranking, but in a ranking of top hip hop albums. This one was #2. I don't know what #1 was. And in 2008, the National Association of Recording Merchandisers, in conjunction with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he is in fact in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as of 2018, recognized Me Against the World as one of the most influential and popular albums, ranking it on the number 170 on a list of 200 other albums by artists of various musical genres. So like top 200 albums of all time between the National Association of Recording Merchandisers and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I think is pretty badass.
Hmm.
It's also included,
Yeah.
and we've brought this list up before. 1001 albums that you must hear before you die is on this list, is on that list as well. So that is,
Do you know where it's ranked
I
on
do
that one?
not just said it's on the list.
Oh, that one's not like ranked.
Yeah,
Then.
it's just
Never
like
mind. That one's just like,
you should listen to
yeah.
these before you die. But yeah, this again, high praise for this album in particular, and it's not even his most popular. It's crazy.
It is definitely not the most popular. I can't reiterate that enough. It's just
I'm so sorry. I'm like way more excited about this than you are. It's okay. Again, you know a little more. Again, you're more a Biggie guy. You've listened to Tupac before this moment. I am a baby with fresh eyes. This is like, wow.
yeah.
So I do apologize for that.
No, I'm glad that you're excited about it. It makes it a lot better. And maybe you'll sway me on a couple things is what I'm
Potentially.
hoping.
Well, I want to hear from you. What songs what's kind of stuck out to you?
The songs that stuck out to me. I really liked, I think, If I Die Tonight, Me Against the World, Young Inwards. I don't
We're
know
just
how
gonna
else
call
to-
that one Young. We'll just call it
Young,
in the
uh,
same way we do in Paris.
young men,
Young.
young men. Lord knows it ain't easy, and old school. Those were the ones that I picked out as my favorites.
Awesome. And I had I think I had notes on a lot of them. I also mentioned Dear Mama, but that's the only one that the other one that I would maybe throw in there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about If I Die Tonight. I think that's a great
Let's talk
song.
about it. I honestly, I think it's the best. I mean, it's the first song on the album, regardless of the intro or whatever. Honestly, I think it's the best song on the album. I think he like comes out guns a
Mm.
blazing, pun intended, I guess. Um, because I I just think that this is the best lyrically
Mhm.
on the album. I think there are some parts. I think this is the one where he does the
Yes.
alliteration a lot. A lot of P's in this song. A lot of
Yes.
P's.
This
And
is this is
uh
poetry. Like I mean, like he is no
yes.
again, he's an actor, he's a rapper, but like he's also a poet, like actively like acclaimed as a poet. And I think this is the song where you see it the most. I agree with you.
Yeah, this is the one that I enjoyed listening to the most. I just it was like it's fun to listen to it without the lyrics pulled up, and then when you pull up the lyrics and listen to it, it just like brings a whole other experience to it.
Yeah.
Because you actually can, pick out and slow down and stop and just see, oh, okay, here's what he's saying here. But there's so much alliteration. The rhyming structure is really great. Like I think he's just going full, just giving it to you real early
Yeah.
with this one. And I mean, this is it. Like this is it. This is the song. And that when I hear that, like Dear Mama is the single off of this one and the most listened to, and then I see like the plays on Spotify, and this one has 28 million and everything. Like that's
Mhm.
low. That's low compared to what are the like Dear Mama has 360 million. And then like So Many Tears and Me Against the World are the next two with over 100,000 or 100 million. And I'm like, this one is not even on the radar
Yeah.
of the most listened to on
It
this
is
album.
surprising. I think it's very surprising. One, because it's at the beginning of the album, you'd think that it would have at least higher plays. Um, just because if someone was to, start playing the album from the very beginning, you're going to listen to the beginning of the album more than the end. Um, but it is so good. And I it's just not, his most popular. It doesn't have again, there's not really a catchy hook other than the if I died tonight, if I died tonight over and over and over again. But so this is actually, I'll kind of spoil this ahead of time. This is where my favorite, I mean, I pulled a ton of lyrics throughout many songs, but the opener, again, it says, a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a soldier dies but once. Tonight's the night I get in some shit. And that's how we start the song. And then he starts the alliteration. They say pussy and paper is poetry, power, and pistols, plotting on murdering motherfuckers for they get you, picturing, and then it gets into more, and then like picturing pitiful punk. And they even further down, puffing weed, pockets is packed with presidents, pursue your riches. Like it is so impressive. Like I'm like, this is poetry. I'm listening to poetry right now. But yes, they say pussy and paper
And
is poetry, power, and pistols. I'm like, I need that.
I
I
love
need
that
that
line. I love
tattooed. I'm like, that's so cool. I love it. Again, just I probably sound so stupid. We're just two white people talking about Tupac's album 30 years later. Nobody wants to listen to this, but I love this song.
No, I love it, and I love, like I said, the amount of alliteration. You went through all the P's, and that's just one part
Mhm.
of it. It's just the P's that he goes through, and I mean, he goes with the B's. Bitches is bad mouth, cause brawling, motherfuckers is
Mhm.
bold. Like, just keeps, and then he, I'm sick of psychotic society. Somebody save me. Like,
Mhm.
it's so this song is great, and he even whenever that first line of those verses, he even changes it. I think on the second
Yeah.
verse, this is what I'm reading: polish your pistols, prepare for battle, pass the pump. When I get the popping,
Mhm.
they're dropping when they done. Like, just keeps going. This song is
It
different.
is. And it's just good. Like, I don't know, there's not a lot to say. I mean, again, it's talking about his life, about, you know, feeling, I don't want to say pressure, or feeling that, you know, people don't like him, and it's a hard life to live, like to you know, have, you know, be strapped all the time and have a gun on you for protection and need to kill people and feel like you're about to be killed or hunted, and, you know, kind of fuck bitches get money, right? But again, doing so in a way that, this one, I feel like this song in particular is really about guns, like a lot about guns and shooting, with like a little bit of other stuff sprinkled in. It,
And
and
death. It's
death.
so much
This
about
whole
death.
album's about death. Like, I mean, again, this man is depressed.
He says it. He says, like, don't shed a tear for me. I ain't happy here.
Yeah.
Which, God, what a bummer
Yeah.
of a line. You get a lot in it. Like, you get lines like that, like every 2 lines, it's something sad or depressing like that. And I mean, the end of the song ends with kill, 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 murder, murder,
I
murder.
know. So I'm like, okay, like, sure, that works. There's also like really pretty imagery, not pretty imagery, but like the police know my name, a different game, ain't a thing changed. I'm seeing cemetery photos of my peers conversating like they still here if I die tonight. And like that gives you that image of, like, you've been to a funeral sometimes where there's just a giant picture of the person who's passed away, just like it's like a, like, almost not a school photo, but like, no, it's a headshot. And we've seen that in like
Yeah.
maybe movies. I've never been to a funeral where there's been a giant headshot of the person who passed, but I've certainly seen that before. And it's like, can you imagine just two, like, let's say 2 people passed away, and if we were at like like in a fictional world joint funeral, you have these 2 pictures, maybe they're facing each other, they're talking to one another, they're gone, they're ghosts, they're in heaven, or whatever you think they're at, and you're just sitting there looking at their pictures, like they're not moving in front of you, but they are in them. Like, oh my God, like, I love that. It's a good song.
It is a good song. I mean, this was the song where I would, like, I've listened to this one over and over and over and
Yeah.
over again. Because it's, yeah, some might say this is poetic justice.
Yeah, but
but yeah, no, this is an all-timer
yeah,
for me.
I agree. Did you have So Many Tears on your list, or was that your next? No.
I didn't write it down. And now I guess I could come out and say my complaint
Okay,
about
what's
the
the
album
complaint?
is that, why, like, every song, like we said, every song is about death.
Yeah.
And then every song, like, he references the same thing over and over and over again in these, to the point to where I'm like, all right, I got it. Like, because So Many Tears is about everybody dying, you know, and all the people that he's lost in around him. And then that also comes through in If I Die Tonight. It also comes through in Me Against the World. It Ain't Easy.
Mhm.
Like, Death Around the Corner. All of these all involve him talking about seeing his friends die over and over. This one is just the one that focuses on all of his friends dying. And I'm not picking on So Many Tears explicitly. I was like, okay, you've got 10 songs on here that are about you dying and all your friends dying. And like, after a while, I was like, I can't do this.
It is depressing.
Anymore. Like,
it is a bummer.
And it seemed like sometimes, I mean, again, when you have such a great song like If I Die Tonight come out, and it is like a perfect song, and then it's kind of recycled through some of the rest of the songs, and I'm like, okay, like, you are saying some things differently, but it's the message is the same. But there are times when it's just the exact same, almost the exact same lyrics.
Yes.
And so that is my, like, issue, I think,
fair.
with the album. And that's not to say this isn't a great album. I think if there were, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just think that there were some songs where I was like, okay, no, I can't do another one of
There
this.
is a lot of there's a lot of repeat. And if I think, like, I'm not trying to justify it, but like as we're talking about it and we're talking about Tupac being a poet, right? Usually like poetry books have a theme. Like if I was to go buy poetry, it's like a book of love poems or a book of poems about death. Like, and that's,
Hmm.
and you'll see again, if it's the same author throughout the entire book, you'll get repeat themes throughout everything. And that's maybe more where he was leaning on this. And now, again, that does not make it, that doesn't help the situation or hurt it. I just, that's kind of how maybe maybe I'm putting words in his mouth. Like maybe that's, if it was if this was a poetry book, we'd have no complaints. Because it's an album, we need a little more variety and to have, in terms of like what the content is talking about. I think that's a huge, I mean, I'm not comparing Nickelback to to Tupac, but that is a huge complaint that people say about Nickelback is that everything sounds the same, everything's all about the same stuff, it's all boring, and you get bored after a while if there's no variety. So perhaps maybe that's where that kind of leans into.
Yeah, I mean, I just I pick up these little things from each of the songs, and that's what I think I would say the most of is like I'll pick up some lyrics from one song that I didn't particularly like because it's at least different. It's a different message that I'm getting from that
Mhm.
song, or a different line of poetry that I'm getting from that song that I'm like, wow, that's really profound and that's really hard hitting. But the rest of the song doesn't hit quite as much because it does feel repetitious or it feels
Yeah,
repetitive
well, that's
from the rest of it.
and that's why I brought up, I skipped over Me Against the World and went straight to So Many Tears because again we're talking about this man being depressed and death, and there's lyrics in that song, and it says, now I'm lost and I'm weary, so many tears, I'm suicidal, so don't stand near me. My every move is a calculated step to bring me closer to embrace an early death. And I was like,
Mm.
ooh, that's good. Like again, a calculated step to bring me closer to embrace an early death. And I'm like, again, this man is suicidal, whether he takes himself out or someone else takes him out. Either way, he's being taken out before he turns 40. Like, it's very blatant. And again, like premonition in a way, like that's
Mhm.
prophetic. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's the many times that he references seeing his friends in the cemetery. I think that's in like
Yeah.
4 or 5 different
Hmm.
songs on this. And sometimes he says it in a very unique way. I think I even have one to gosh, I can't even remember where the lyric I pulled it from is like just referencing losing friends and them going to the cemetery. But again, it's repetitive to me. And yeah, maybe it's repetitive because it's happening so much in his
Yeah.
life that he has to be repetitive and be like, yeah, this happened to me again. It's if you are thinking about it like I'm writing like a journal or something. We talk about, we've talked about the songwriters that we've seen and how some of them are just writing what is in their journal. And I was talking like whenever I talk about the 1975 and how much I like the 1975, that is just Matty Healy just putting like 80s beats behind his sad journal entries. That it really is.
Yeah.
It's all it is. In the same vein, it's like, yep, my friend died again or died this week. But seriously, like it has to be happening to him enough for him to be like, yep, this is
Hmm.
it. And the only thing I have to talk about, unfortunately, are not good
Yeah.
things, are not like wins in my life. It's, it is my friends are dying around me. I'm stressed the fuck out. I want to die because I hate it
Hmm.
here. And I'm going to get murdered. And the songs that you see that are different than that are going to be, whether it's Temptations, where he's talking about like whether or not
It's gonna
he
cheat.
can stay faithful, but he's gonna cheat. And I said at least he's honest about being dishonest. That's the only note I put. Or Dear Mama, where he's talking about his mother raising him and everything that they went through. Can you get away? Talking about a girl that's being mistreated by her boyfriend, and him being like, hey, I'll treat you good if you come, come over with me. So those are like the different ones that we
Yeah.
get on this album. And I'm not really even drawn toward those songs.
No.
Like, I didn't mark any of those songs as the ones that I like.
Mhm.
But they're different in that.
Yeah, I kind of like
So
Temptations. Like it's certainly not like a top song for me, but like I think it was the first different one that we got in the order of like the track list.
mhm.
And again, it was almost kind of funny. Like again, it was not that it was lighthearted by any means. Again, he's talking about I don't know if I can stay faithful to one person. I was like I'm a man who wants to get laid. Like that's the whole song. But
Yeah.
like it was a little again, it was just it was like a little more upbeat. It was a little kind of funny. Like you're like, really, dude? Like it was just a little different. But yeah, it's not like certainly not like a top 5 on this album.
Yeah. And the thing I liked, and I know we kind of glanced over Me Against the
Let's
World,
talk about
is
Me
like
Against the World.
it it feels more like the most political,
Mhm.
maybe, because he is calling out all the things that are going on in the world around him, whether it is, his friends, his dad, or not friends, his, rivals, his dad, screwing him over for life, the cops, anything. But he talks about politicians being crooked and like you having to do things on your own. And he knows that there is, the power is in the people,
Mhm.
and the politics that's what he says. The power's in the people, and politics we address. Always do your best. Don't let this pressure make you panic. And then when you get stranded and things don't go the way you planned it, dreaming of riches in a position of making a
Mhm.
difference. It says politicians, hypocrites, they don't want to listen. If I'm insane, it's the fame made a brother change. It wasn't nothing like the game. It was just me against the
Yeah.
world. So like, I feel like this is he's being very, vague about the world, but um he's trying to push on a message that like, hey, you can do this. Make sure and study. Make sure and go out and be the voice of the people. I'm not going to be here much
Mhm.
longer. It's very like Christ-like. It's so weird thinking of it in that way, but it does whenever you think of like the gospels in the
Yeah.
Bible, like him just being like, no, I ain't gonna be
You
here,
gotta fix
guys.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
you gotta fix this stuff. And it does feel like, to compare them, I'm not saying Tupac is Jesus Christ or anything, but I do appreciate that about Tupac and this album and some of the songs that he has. Me Against the World, and then the Young Dudes, that
Young dudes.
where he talks about young dudes, about like, hey, you all are screwing up because you're following me, and you need to stop
Yeah, do
following
as I
me,
say,
and you need
do
to
as I
do
say, not as I
yes.
do.
Exactly. That is a note that I put on that song in particular. So I like that part of and I feel like Me Against the World and then Young Dudes is one that kind of tackle that subject. Like, hey, we got to be
Yeah.
better. We've got to improve. We can't be doing this gang stuff
Yeah.
anymore.
And it really
Um,
is geared toward young people. Like in Me Against the World, it says, unless we're shooting, nobody notices the youth. Like, which is a pretty profound political statement. But then like again, young dudes is almost a direct message. And I think he's at the beginning, he says, this is dedicated to my cousin. Like it's like or like a specific person who's like, hey, I know you want to be cool. I know you think this thug life is awesome, but we're out here dying. We're out here poor. We're just trying to make money. And this is not the life to lead. It's not good. You
mhm.
can do so much more with your life. You can go be an accountant or a lawyer. Those are literally the lyrics that towards the end. He's like,
Yeah.
don't get messed up in this shit. This is not good shit. Go out and do something bigger. And it's a warning.
And I think he even references, I think he says like 13 and 14-year-olds. Like, I think he acknowledges an age. And I think that's important that he acknowledges that age, because he's saying, like, if it's beyond this, there's probably no hope for
Mhm.
you. Because I mean, you see or you hear like how young some of these people get started in these worlds, and how that leads them down this path. So I think when he says something about like it's either 13 and 14 or 14 and
Yeah.
15 that he references, it's like, hey, you've still got a
Mm-hmm.
chance. You've got to do this. Anybody beyond that, it's not like that they don't have a chance, but I think he realizes like that, whether it's, you know, becoming a man, or that age around becoming a
Yeah.
man in society, or, you know, when you get picked up by gangs and initiated or whatever it
Mhm.
is, like he knows that that is the crucial
Yeah.
time for you to make a change and do something different and not do this, because afterwards you're going to die by the time that you're 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think it has a lot to do with making money too, right? Again,
Mhm.
you grow up poor, you get to a certain age where it's time to work, and whether it's, hey, I can go get a job, or I'm in school, so I can't really work full time to help support my family, but I could do this real quick, drive by drop off situation after school real quick. And again, that's kind of that age where, oh, I can make a quick couple hundred off of this drug deal. Sure. Again, he sings a lot about dope as well. Not necessarily like,
Mhm.
yeah, but you could be a drug dealer or you could be an accountant. And I think again, it's a lot to do with money. It's like, hey, you're struggling, but don't fall into the trap. Um, and this is again, white millennial woman. This
Yeah.
reminded me of the movie Step Up. Because hear me out. And a lot of movies do this, and they're typically, white savior movies. But there's a character, I believe his name's Omar, and it's the little brother. There's like there's the three guys: Channing Tatum, his best friend, and the little brother who's always tagging around. And they kind of get messed up in some of like the car. I think it's cars is what they're working with, and the little brother is like, he's like, oh, let me come with you. And they're like, no. And he's like probably 14, 15. And they're like, no, you can't come with us. It's too dangerous. Go home to mom. Like, I think they call him Skinny. But he's like, no, Skinny, you can't come with us. Go home to mom. You're not coming. Like, they're trying to protect him. But
Mhm.
towards the end of the movie, Skinny shows up to a not safe situation and ends up dying, like ends up getting shot. And it's like,
Mhm.
but the entire time he's like, basically, he's not saying in so many words, I want to grow up, I want to be you, I want to, but he's like, he's like, I'm old enough, I'm grown, I can get involved. He's like, I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions, be a man. There's a lot that has to do with masculinity as well. And again, he's the one who ends up losing his life towards the end of the movie. It's like
Yeah.
one of the big crux of that movie. It's a side
Yeah.
plot, but it is a big part of it. But
Yeah. We talked about a movie on the movie podcast, Menace to Society.
Yeah.
I think that was 93. Might have been 94, but that was actually a movie that Tupac got fired
Yeah.
from. He was supposed to be one of the main guys in that movie, and he ends up getting in a fight with the writer or the producer or director, one of them, and ends up being, fired from that movie. But I owe it whenever I bring up the world of this kind of world that Tupac lives in, a world that I am not familiar with. And so the only idea that I have are from movies that are made by people who live that
Mhm.
life or have lived that life or have witnessed to it. So I always talk about Menace to Society, and then I always talk about the movie Boys in the Hood. Two very different movies that concern very, the exact same thing. And it's exactly what we're talking about here. Whereas Boys in the Hood has a vision of hope
Mhm.
and the ability to get out from, the life and the gang life and Compton's, the scene there. That's what Boys in the Hood is all about. And it has, people surrounding them dying, people that are getting involved in things that, are going to, cause them to lose their life at a very young age. And then we have Menace to Society. And we do have that character in there that is like, hey, you need to stop doing what you're doing,
Mhm.
or you're going to end up, in a bad
Mhm.
way. And we see the complete opposite of that happen, where he just keeps making the decision to, keep pursuing those things, living in this life. And when there is that chance for him to get out, it comes crashing down on him before he can get out. And so you're either consumed by it, or you do somehow manage to get out of
Mhm.
it. And those two movies are great, a great movie pairing. And would be a great pairing when listening to Tupac or Biggie or any of the ones that are putting out albums during this time,
Mhm.
NWA or Snoop, any of that stuff. So
Absolutely.
sorry to go
No,
on a
this is
rant.
good. What other songs do you want to chat about? We've kind of jumped all over the place with some of our conversation.
Let's see. I had Lord Knows, It Ain't Easy, and Old School. Old School, I really don't have a much to say about Old
Mhm.
School. It really is just like a love letter
Yeah.
to all of them. And that's really all he does. Like when I listened to it the first time around, I was like, this is the only song I like on
Oh
the
no.
album. I was like, this is the only one I like on the album because he's not talking like he's not saying the same thing over and over again. Instead, he's just talking about all the people that came before him, whether it's Funk Master or LL Cool J and Dougie
Mhm.
Fresh, and he even mentions De La Soul's in there. He talks about Queen Latifah, KRS, all these people that came before him. Even Salt and Peppa, he references them in this song. So it's a song that has that old school beat
Yeah.
to it, and then it also just him saying how much he loves all these people that came before him. So that's really the only thing I have to
Oh
say
yeah.
about
No, I
that
had
song.
that. It's nostalgia comes for us all. Right? Doesn't and, like I feel like millennials get a bad rep with nostalgia, and we do. We are nostalgic as a group, but I mean everybody has those like nostalgia moments, and that's all this song is. It's like LL Cool J is hard as hell. Like that's he's like, and at the end he's like giggling. He's like, remember that time when we
Mm-hmm.
were growing up? They started talking about the ice cream truck and like getting Italian ices. He's like, remember we did that? And I'm like, that's adorable. Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
I'd
it
ever
is.
call a
It's
Tupac song adorable, but it's relatable. It's like you said, like like this is the song on the album I like, and it's like this is a universal experience that we
mm-hmm.
all, whether no matter what the music is, everybody connects to music in some way, shape, or form, and we tie music to and just memories. Like there's still like there are songs that we'll hear that take you back to a certain point in time. There are songs that I can't listen to because they'll take me back to a certain point in time that I don't want to go to. Like that's and
Yeah.
we all as like a human race experience that, and that's super awesome.
Yeah. The other song that I had is "It Ain't Easy," which I think is probably one of his more popular
Uh-huh.
songs. And I also think that this song, it kind of references all these things, like him hanging out with his friends, but it also references him losing friends. It's also him reflecting on going to prison. So I imagine he wrote this before he did his time in jail.
It seems like he went
And
twice. Did he go
because
twice?
improv, I
Yeah.
think so. I think he had a couple different charges on him for specific
Hmm.
things, and he keep like the chorus is, will I see the penitentiary or will I stay free? It ain't easy being
Hmm.
me. Pair this with It Ain't Easy Being Green by Kermit the Frog,
Same thing.
maybe. Same thing. References like again like political stuff in here, like, hey, I'm innocent but I'm doing this because I'm black, and that's just the way it goes. Hey, Bill Clinton, like who's the president at the
Hmm.
time, um can we do anything about this? And then you see him not only reflecting about going to jail, but he's also reminiscing about the times that he's had. He even talks about like, you know, hanging out with his friends in junior high, drinking peppermint schnapps, and like keeping an eye for the cops while we're slinging rocks.
Hmm.
Like, um, so it's, I like to think, I mean, I hate that somebody would go to jail, but I like to think of this as like him, you know, thinking about all the decisions that he's made, what brought him to this
Hmm.
point, and um, combining those two words. Like, hey, I used to have it good, but now am I gonna even be free anymore?
Hmm.
Or am I stuck in
Yeah, and then when I
jail?
see
And
the penitentiary, it makes me want to be free, or makes me want to stay free. Like it's almost like he's
yeah,
having a war flashback. He's like, I've had it
yeah,
good. I have these memories. But I've made decisions, and I ended up in a not so great spot, and I want to not do that again. And it is kind of like, yeah, again, touches on all of the subjects that we've been speaking about.
And he talks about how, you know, again, he talks about being black in America is you're just given at such a disadvantage. And he says, Lord, ain't no love for us ghetto children. So like we do what we can do. It does have one of my favorite lyrics in here, which is beat my horn for a hoochie with a proper ass, which I just think is
Chef's kiss.
chef's freaking kiss. He's got a couple, not just on this, not in this song, but like some other ones that I'll bring up later. Like one that I thought is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. It's great. So
no, fantastic. Then that's kind of all I got. We don't really have to talk about Dear Mama. It's a weird song.
It is a weird song, and like I wonder if every rapper has a song about their mother. Kanye's got one. I don't know if Jay-Z, Eminem has one about his mother. We've got him referencing his mother here. Man, he bashes on his dad a few times on this album, and I love that. He's like, he's dead. And he sucks.
Yeah. It sounds like raised by a single mom, just him and his sister.
Yeah.
Dad must have left. And he's like, when he died, I didn't cry because I didn't care enough. And I was like, shit. And but it sounds like when he left, his mom developed a drug habit, and he's like, but he's like, it's not easy raising a young man, and that's a topic that it gets, we've talked about the male loneliness epidemic that's happening now, but just like raising a young black man as a single parent, as a general statement, but like again, growing up in this world where cops are cops, and it's a different type of situation. And he's like, it's a thank you. Is it like the best song on the album? No, but it is sweet.
Mm-mm.
And you're right. I feel like every rapper has. I have a friend who like used to do some rapping, and he had a song like about his mom. Like it just at all levels, Tupac to Waddy.
Did you have anything for Lord Knows?
The only thing I had was, I think it was the opening line, and it was, I smoke a blunt to take the pain out, and if I wasn't high, I'd try to blow my brains out. And I was like,
isn't that such a good fucking line? Like sad.
Waddy is the name.
It's so
sorry to chat. Waddy is the name of my friend who used to rap.
Do you have his album in the closet over there?
I don't. No, that's another guy.
That's Alyssa's friends with a bunch of rappers. So
oh my god, I forgot about him.
Tupac.
What is his rapper name?
Oh, I saw that the other day when I was looking in the closet. I thought that was
Lovey Swag. That guy's name is
Mm.
Robin. Like no, that's a different. Why do I know? Anyway, that is a great line. You are right. It is unfortunate, and it's actually like, again, it's numbing the pain. It is self-medicating. It is trying to distract myself from the horrors that is this life, and with a substance. And a lot of people do it, but it's
one thing I do think that, give Tupac props, and again, like you, I haven't listened to a ton of 90s rap or 90s hip hop and given a lot of listens like I did for this Tupac album, but we've talked about SZA, we've talked about and SZA, one of the big things that you love about SZA, and one thing that I love about SZA, is that she talks about mental health and is open about her feelings and everything. It's a little bit different, one, not to put a gender on those things, but it's, you hear a woman talking about mental health, it seems more commonplace, maybe, even though SZA is talking about serious things, serious mental, issues and things like that. But like for a guy like Tupac to come out and to start talking, even in his own special way, talking about like depression,
it is still centered,
anxiety and paranoia and all these things that are mental health things that he disguises in these songs about, being a gangster and having to live this life. Like It's amazing to me.
Yes. I'm looking, hold on. I'm looking something up. So yeah, SZA's one, um, Megan Thee Stallion's the other. And as I
Mhm.
but I to talking about gender, Megan Thee Stallion has a song, I think it's actually just called Anxiety. No, it's called Cobra. The song Cobra is specifically about mental health. Her mom passed away. She has been dealing with the passing of her mom. And I remember it came out and I like didn't like it. And I was like,
Mhm.
it's because she's not singing about but she's like talking about how much anxiety she has. She's like, I'm not doing well, like straight up. It's like a bummer of a song. And in when Tupac does it, I don't know if it's the tempo, I don't know if it's the beat, but like his when he talks about his feeling, like Megan Thee Stallion says, talk about their feelings, and it's about feelings, and it gets real deep. Tupac talks about his feelings and it's centered around violence, and just saying,
Mhm.
hey, I'm not doing well. I want to blow my brains out, right? It's all about killing
Yeah.
myself. It's not sorry, trigger warning. We've been talking about this entire time. But it's not just about, hey, it's like disguised almost, or maybe that's how it comes across in like male rappers is more of that violent way as opposed to a Megan Thee
Mhm.
Stallion who's just like, I'm anxious and depressed. Doechii just came out with that anxiety song.
Anxiety song. When you said that earlier, I was like, anxiety, Doechii, yeah. But I think it's fascinating because, again, two white people sitting here talking about things. I think it's more, on the whole perspective of it, people would, it's almost like they are like black men and women would be chastised or looked down upon for expressing, like men are looked down upon about for expressing feelings or anything, and it's always doubly
Yeah.
hard for black men and women to express those kinds of feelings. So you have the guy like Tupac who is expressing those things, and I agree with you, it is all centered around violence and violence towards
Mhm.
himself, because of what he's going through. um it's sad that that you have to think about it that
Mhm.
way. Like, why can't everybody just write down their feelings and talk about their feelings and not be criticized for it, or have to disguise it in a song where I'm talking about smoking drugs and making money and
Mhm.
fucking bitches and all these things. Like, so that's part of that's part of the skill and the talent that I see in the Tupac album, is that there is a lot of these things thrown in that are surrounded by these other things that are hopefully getting through the message through to the people that he's talking
Mhm.
to. Hopefully I'm not out of line on any of
Yeah,
those things
I
that I
think you're
said.
okay.
Okay, good. I need you to check me
I
every
think
once
you're
in a
okay.
while.
Well, do you wanna tell me what your favorite song was? I think I know what it is.
Yeah, I think I said it at the top. It's If I Die Tonight. I think that song is probably one of, if not my favorite song of the year so far. If we're doing like a
Wow.
song, like that song just hits so different. And because it isn't catchy and it isn't um a pop song, I think of, I gave one 5-star album to Oasis, but I don't think I've sit there on any of those songs on the Oasis album and I go, wow,
Mhm.
like that really hit me.
Yeah.
And I think If I Die Tonight hit
Yeah.
me because I think it shows off his skill, it shows off his writing ability and his talent behind that. I think it's just
Mhm.
that's a
So it's
great
a
song.
five-star song on the
5-star
album.
song.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I if I die tonight, I also had so many tears, young dudes, and old
Young Dudes was my second one,
yes,
I
and old
think.
school. Those are all standouts to me. I want to give them a proper shout out. What about your least favorite?
Yeah. I wrote Can You Get Away?
Really? It is so out of place.
It was so out of place, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, I'm glad that this is all about like, hey,
I
helping a young woman out of her relationship, but this is like the Lifetime movies of
I
songs
did
on this
say I
album.
was like, didn't think we'd get a love song on this album. Not exactly a love song, but
Not exactly a love song,
I'm
no.
like, it's as close as we're gonna get. That's fair. I said Death Around the Corner. Um, there was some
I get that.
weird talking in the chorus, like just speaking, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like it didn't hit right in my brain, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I already said my favorite lyric at the top. They say pussy and paper is poetry, power, and pistols. What is your favorite lyric? I'm so excited.
Okay. I have two. One of them is not as funny. So this one's not as funny. Hard-headed bastard, maybe he'll listen in his casket. The aftermath, more bodies being buried. I'm losing my homies in a hurry. They're relocating to the cemetery. Again, that's kind of the theme of this whole album, but there was something about one, he's, speaking to somebody else that's, super stubborn, won't come out of that life. He's going to end up dead. And after it's all said and done. And then I don't know, there was something about the line, they're relocating to the cemetery, like they're moving, like that's their next, like, hey, I'm moving. Where you going? On, I'm gonna die.
They're in a hurry, relocating to the cemetery. It's like, oh, gotta go. It is a great line.
The one that I really like though is ever since I was an itty bitty kitty, drinking liquor out of my mama's titty and smoking weed was an everyday thing in my household, and drinking liquor till you out cold. Itty bitty kitty drinking liquor out of my mama's titty. Which is not a funny lyric because he's talking about his mom being an alcoholic. But good for him.
Titty's just a funny word.
Itty bitty kitty drinking liquor out of my mama's titty.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. That's where you're getting it. Straight from the tap.
Oh my God.
There was one lyric, and I can't find it now, where he's talking about his dick. I thought it was so funny.
I missed that. You can miss a lot in these songs. Like, again, it's like, wait, what did he say? And then it just keeps going.
And that's exactly my reaction whenever he did the itty bitty kitty one. I was like, wait, what? Hold on.
Rewind.
Those are 3 words that you don't hear in a rap song very often. So yeah, that was that one.
What about some pairings? Do you have some music pairings?
Yeah, I thought, and you probably have some overlap with this, but I said Kendrick would be a good comparison. Modern day, I would say, especially with his like messaging around, hey, that ain't the life. And so I would say Kendrick. I said Wu-Tang Clan. I'm a big fan of Wu-Tang Clan. And think because they're on more of an East Coast thing, but I never felt like Wu-Tang ever got pulled into the East Coast, West Coast battle. They were kind of their own thing and doing their own thing, but lyrical, very good lyrically rapping. And then I also did a little bit more research and found out that the artist named Kurupt, Kurupt, who is, some of like the rappers that the biggest rappers love this man and think he's one of them. Kendrick loves Kurupt. Eminem references Kurupt as being one of the best rappers of all time. He was a part of the Dog Pound, which was associated with that West Coast rap, rapped on Snoop Dogg's album. It was him and another guy. And then they went solo and got off of Suge Knight's label after Tupac died and everything. There was a mass exodus after Tupac died from Suge Knight's label. So Kurupt, that's what I would say.
Nice. I like that one.
What about you?
I also said Kendrick as our like modern West Coast political activism, probably the best rapper of our time. Like that's Kendrick's kind of the obvious choice. I also had more obvious choices of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, people that have worked with Tupac, who Tupac respected. I also put Notorious B.I.G. just for funsies, kind of as a not for funsies, but against that East Coast, West Coast. They had their beef. It was people thought that maybe Biggie's the one who killed Tupac, and then 6 months later, Biggie dies. So it was like, maybe they were killed by the same guy. I don't know, but it's just interesting. So I was like, to do like a compare contrast, perhaps if you're doing East Coast versus West Coast of the time.
And I think that's a good one, and to know that I feel like there was animosity that was built up and probably constructed from their outside sources, whether it
Sure.
is, you know, Diddy or whether it is Suge Knight fighting that flame, making them both more marketable because they have this rivalry. They didn't used to be rivals. And it's funny because Tupac's not from the West
I
Coast. He's
know,
from the
yeah.
East Coast. Growing up in New York or Jersey or one of those two. So I don't know. I think it's a good. I think it's a good pairing.
Yeah, and I mean,
especially just to see the way
yeah,
they
and
go.
rap beef has always been a thing. Like we have it now with Kendrick and Drake. We like there's always someone is always beefing with someone, and that kind
Yeah.
of
Jay-Z,
it
Nas.
fuels. Well, when it makes money, of course, but it fuels like it's lore, right? Oh, I got to listen to the next
Mhm.
diss track that gets dropped. Oh, I got to hear the tea. In a way.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Oh, we got
That's it. That's it. That's the lyric. Overdose of a dick while drinking liquor when I lay her. Incredible.
Thank you, chat, for
Thank you,
much of-
chat. That's it. I was like, hell yeah.
hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah. I got banana bread at work today. And beat my horn for a hoochie with a proper ass.
Beat my
That's it.
horn for a hoochie with a proper ass.
What's a proper ass? You know?
Well, everybody's got an ass.
But what's a proper
A nice one. According to Nelly, someone who measures 36, 25, 34. I like the
Only
way
if
you
she
brush your
5'3".
hair, and I like those stylish clothes you wear. Okay, I'm done.
British.
Uh,
I said proper ass.
Would you recommend this to a friend?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would recommend it to somebody that also has no kind of information going into this. Like, I think that's honestly the best way to do it. If somebody likes Kendrick and they're like, "Oh, I've never listened to Tupac before," and be like, "Yeah, this is great. Hey, I've got a song for you. Hey, I've got this album for you that is probably a lot of influence on Kendrick and where he comes from." No, that's exactly how I would do it. And I don't know why in particular it'd be somebody that's never listened to Tupac before, but even with my minimal knowledge of Tupac, I was surprised by this album.
I think this is I wrote hell yeah in my notes, and I think it's like for a music lover. For some, again, I have no knowledge. I have very little knowledge. This is all new to me. But as someone who is an appreciator of music, I was like, this is dope. This is awesome. I had a great time, and this makes me want to hear more. Like, I'm excited that this isn't his most popular songs, because that means that there's more out there that people latched onto more dearly. And that means that might be better. And I'm excited about it.
Well, I'm excited for you to go down that rabbit hole and pick out some new favorite songs.
What's your 5-star rating?
I went back and forth. Maybe I'll go through my first 0.25 on something, but I'm going to say 3.75.
Ooh,
yeah.
Why is that?
I haven't done the 3. Because I've been toying with it all day. I went back and forth between 3.5 and a 4. And I think I went 3.5 because of the repetition of the album and the messaging on some of the songs. I do think there are some songs that I would skip over on this album. I think we listed those as like Dear Mom is fine, but I don't know if I'm gonna listen to it every time. We didn't even talk about Heavy in the Game, but like some songs that I'm just like, I'm good. Death Around the Corner, like I can skip that one and get straight to Outlaw, which I think is a good ending song. But I do think there are some songs on here that I would skip.
That's fair.
So 3.75. Okay. That's me coming to a middle ground. What about you?
I gave it 5 stars.
5 stars.
This is my second 5-star album of the year.
Wow.
Tupac and Alanis.
They are the two versions of Alyssa.
This is my personality with Paul rank coming up in third.
She's gonna be singing the young
no, I will
song.
not. I certainly will not. Again, Tupac said this is an ode to rap music, to hip hop music. He was very intentional in making it. The poetry, does it have a lot of repetition? Yes. Am I going to go back and listen to a lot of these songs? No. I think it deserves 5-star. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like, it just an experience of it. It was like a rock opera in a way. Like, it was awesome. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is so good. That's all I got. It's a
Nice.
5-star album for me.
Nice. And for that 5-star, you got donated 500 bits. We really appreciate that in the chat. Thank you, Sir Garlet.
Thank you. So, and thank you, Cody, for being here, for having these conversations with me. Before we wrap up, because we're getting towards the end here. Do you have any recent music recommendations? I don't. I haven't listened to shit.
I actually have listened to things, and very similar to the artist that we are talking about today. I've been listening to Cat Stevens.
Very similar.
Very similar. No, Cat Stevens just came out with an album. He is very old. He had an album come out called Nature, and it's pretty sure it's just a re-release of a lot of his songs. Like, he had recorded them over again. And if you know anything about Cat Stevens, he's kind of went through a couple different phases. He did go by Yusuf Islam and stopped, doing pop music, or stopped recording traditional albums like he used to for a while, as he was now a practicing Muslim, and he has since, and he did traditional Muslim music, Islamic music, I should say, for a while, and wasn't getting any kind of love. And then he kind of was like, I kind of miss it. And so now I'm only going to go back to, and I'm going to sing more of my secular songs again. And so that was the album that I've listened to.
Amazing.
I love Cat Stevens. He's
You
incredible.
are a big Cat Stevens
Everybody
fan.
should. I love Cat Stevens. I've been trying to get on a kick. I'm looking at some of the other stuff that I listen to. It's like Cat Stevens Radio, Paul Simon Radio. I'm a fan of those guys. Then we listened to All Out 90s. We did do that. That was fun. I saw the Scene Queen has a new song out called L-Shaped Couch.
Does. It's okay. I love Scene Queen. I don't care. But it's a fine song.
It's a fine
song. Like, I think the thing that kind of I don't like about it is that she is trying to, she has a dance that goes with it, like TikTok, and
oh, so it's like a hot to go.
Homegirl. Oh no, it's just a TikTok dance, and Homegirl is not a dancer. That's just not her strong. She's just like do, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, it's like Katy Perry dancing.
Yeah. I was like, I get it. Like, artists have to play to the TikTok algorithm nowadays, but yeah.
Oh, the chat just said I didn't get to chat much last week, but I really loved Ben Folds 5 as a first timer. I think I was a bigger fan last week of Ben Folds than you were. Right?
Well, it's funny, this week, because last week my complaint was all the songs sound the same. this week
my complaint is
this week I'm like, all the songs sound the same. But no.
I'm a big Ben Folds guy.
Ben Folds.
So I really like
we
that.
did. It's a good recommendation. That was a fun time here last week. And we do have these. If you're new here, if you're hanging out in the audience and you haven't chatted with us before, or you're like, oh, I missed the Ben Folds week, we do have these out on YouTube. If maybe you're tuning in from YouTube right now, hello YouTube land.
Oh yeah, I forget about them.
We're in multiple places. But we do have those. So if you ever want to check out a previous old episode, whether it's 52 music or 52 movies, those are all on YouTube. Any other information you're interested in getting about our podcast in the 52 universe, you can join our Discord server. We have a ton of information there. We're chatting about music and movies. Really just where you get information about what we're talking about. And you're always welcome to follow us on Instagram. That's mostly where we post if we're going to have a delay or a change in date, or announce what the album is or movie is for the week. Next week, in case anyone's curious, continuing our hip hop genre, the album is Liquid Swords. That's what we're covering next week by Genius / GZA. Or is it GZA? Okay, great. Okay,
Jizza.
so Genius slash Jizza is our artist that we're covering next week. Liquid Swords is their album. So that is our hip hop album for next week. Tune in. You can stream that wherever, on any streaming platform that you utilize. But I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for being here. We love you. We will see you next time on 52/1995 Music.